government agencies that regulate and support businesses, ministries like Industry, Trade and Investment. We had among the organized private sectors, the financial institutions, the consulting firms, the law firms that provide, legal services and all that, and then foreign and local, development agencies, and a whole lot more.
So the whole gamut of you folks that are sitting together over the next tomorrow to chew this over and come up with something that would work with Nigeria. But I found out from a little bit of top of the button research that regulation, oversight, functions over this subsector is one of the key issues.
Yeah, definitely. Because in fact, we've had a couple of local brands that have tried to franchise. Like I said, franchising is more like a new concept or business culture in Nigeria is growing, and they had gotten their fingers burnt. And if you meet the average guy on the street and tell him about franchising in Nigeria, he will likely point at one or two brands that hadn't done well, and they say, no, it's not going to work in Nigeria. But that study was an eye opener. For goodness sake, we actually commend these brands that were more like they took the first mover, step, because they helped some other upcoming brands today to learn from their mistakes. So we found out that the opportunity is immense. The people that had taken the first step, there were one or two things that they missed. People say, why is it only foreign brands that come to Nigeria and they are succeeding? Why can't we do our own? It's because we've not taken our time to study the business model. The financial institutions, they need to study and understand the franchise business model so they can provide funding support. The law firms, they need to study the franchise business model so they can provide legal services. So some of these brands that had gotten their fingers burned, they had gotten into contracts with some franchisees, and somewhere along the line there were problems which they couldn't handle. Okay, but today these stakeholders have come together, and there is a development of skills, development of more like an enabling environment being developed. And to your question concerning the regulation and contractual issues, there are small claim courts that are being more like are going to be set up, looking at alternative dispute resolution approaches. And we are not leaving things in the hands of the government per se. There's a lot of development going on among these stakeholders, learning from the facts we got from these three other countries or four other countries. So we are benchmarking these countries, finding out what exactly they did when they were where Nigeria is today in franchising, and there's a whole lot that we are learning.
Well, what needs to change primarily in the Nigerian environment for us? Because it looks like everybody comes here, put in the seed, it germinates, we put the same seed in the soil, it doesn't come up well. So the question is, we're supposed to have the home advantage, but we always seem not to have that advantage. Is it our culture or what? Okay, well,
every culture is subject to change. Because I can tell you something, there are ways to change the culture.
Do you think culture is a major problem? Was that identified in that report? Do you think culture is?
Yes, it was. It's a mindset thing. Every person wants to print his call card, and he has managing director, CEO, founder, and all that. It's a misconception. Okay, so someone asked, is it better to be the head of an ant or maybe the toe of an elephant, right? Franchising provides, we are doing a lot of awareness. Okay, awareness is what's going to help to change the culture, and that's the typical kind of thing we're using this coming event to do. There are going to be a lot more of franchise exhibitions, shows, networking platforms, a lot of engagement going on the social media and all that will happen.
At the end of the day, on whose table will the entire conversation stop? The government, or those of you in the private sector, or those of us in the private sector?
Okay, well, I'll put it this way. All the stakeholders, they have their own roles to play.
So everybody's going to go home with his own part of the paper and say, or what you call to-do list.
That is it. So, government has a role to play, especially in the areas of regulation, but we've tried as much as possible to withdraw responsibilities from the hands of government and put it in the hands of the organized private sector. There are people that are capable, and there are alternative ways of doing things. So that's why we are calling on on financial institutions. It is time to develop specific franchise lending solutions. Okay, what we call a franchise lending desk. We are calling on the law firms to study franchising and begin to provide, services. We are calling on consulting firms to look at ways they are going to provide services like matchmaking, right, and their pre-qualification services, helping the franchise, potential franchisors to re-engineer their businesses, and a whole lot more that need to happen.
I have some advice on know your partner.
That's it.
Yeah, because that's also a problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can smell that from everything you said. Because if you're not careful who you choose as a co,
you get your fingers burnt.
Yeah, because
run into unnecessary, challenges.
So you don't put one bad apple and get the whole basket spoiled.
That's it.
Okay, I'm going to try if I can listen in on some of these conversations tomorrow. But it looks like what you folks are doing in franchising has a lot to do with job creation, getting the startups up and running, and specifically helping the SMEs that the current administration is working on.
Absolutely. Franchising is a major tool of job creation. People do not know that what we call distributorship today, like what the Dangotes and the Vitafoams do, is a form of franchising. In the U.S., the origin, we call it product format franchising. There are also licensees and agencies. So if you look today, most brands that have, best of expansion, like the likes of, McDonald's, they have over 4,000 outlets. And they, in terms of recruitment, some of them they employ over, nearly 1 million people. In the USA, over 9 million people in the US are employed by the franchise sector. In India, about 1.4 million people are employed, by the franchise sector.
You're getting me dizzy with the numbers. So when it comes like that from the outside, yeah. I keep getting a little bit swayed, as it were. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Nwezu, managing consultant at Franchise Business Development Services, discussing franchising with the PDF and DFID and other government agencies and financial institutions tomorrow, Thursday, and it's going to happen here in Lagos, the home of economics. And that's where Channels Television is headquartered. Let's come back after the break. The Nigerian stock market is on steroid, unbowed for 3 straight weeks now. We'll get to talk more about the third trading day of the new week. We'll be right back in 2.